Hi, I'm Christy, and welcome to Prayerful Flow, where we are still in the Easter season and reading the gospel passages associated with that season. So to access today's class, I would invite you to grab a strap or a belt or even like a long towel that you roll up. So just something like that, and then perhaps a block or some thick books. Again, these are just options to help modify or deepen your stretching experience, but not required for class. So to begin class today, I invite you to begin on your back. So just coming onto your back, allowing yourself to just feel heavy, supported, relaxed, easy. In class today, you'll hear the scripture passage to begin, and then we'll transition into some movement, and then we'll close class with some guided prayer or the reading a third time before some quiet moments. So as you're lying there on your back, I invite you to just check in, noticing how you feel in your space right now. If you have any kind of gripping aches or pains or even some thoughts and feelings, allowing them to just be, not judging them, not observing them, not trying to change them, but maybe taking a long deep breath and imagining sending your breath to wherever it is in your body or your mind where you're feeling that, and just letting the breath kind of wash over it. Exhaling it out as a letting go. Begin to draw your awareness to your breath, steadiness, reliability of your inhale and your exhale. And as you focus on your breathing, I invite you to bring to mind God's loving presence. And together we acknowledge God is in all things, above all things, before all things, creator of all things. But we know that He doesn't impose His relationship on us, and that He longs for personal relationship with us that is two-way. So I invite you to take a moment to welcome God into your space, as though you're inviting a friend or loved one to join you in just being in your prayer and your practice. We'll be reading today from John chapter 10. And I'm going to read the passage twice. As I'm reading, I invite you to think of the word shepherd and maybe another word that comes to mind that represents the same kind of construct. So shepherd, be helper, teacher, leader, guide, whatever word is coming to you, whether it's shepherd or another word, kind of just hold space for that in our practice, in our prayer, in our reading today. So John chapter 10, I'm going to read the passage twice. The first time I invite you to simply listen. Jesus said, "I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired man, who is not a shepherd and whose sheep are not his own, sees a wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away. And the wolf catches and scatters them. This is because he works for pay and has no concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I will lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. These also I must lead, and they will hear my voice. And there will be one flock, one shepherd. That is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have power to lay it down and power to take it up again. This command I've received from the Father. I invite you to take a long, slow inhale in. Maybe sighing out your exhale. I'm going to read the passage another time, and this time I invite you to notice any word or phrase that catches your attention. And notice if that word or phrase is something that brings you consolation or comfort or peace, or notice if you feel some kind of resistance or challenge around the word or phrase or image. And if that's the case, I invite you to ask God to soften your heart around that, because that could be the Holy Spirit at work too. One round of breath to clear and prepare yourself for the reading. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired man who is not a shepherd and whose sheep are not his own sees a wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf catches and scatters them. This is because he works for pay and has no concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I will lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. These also I must lead, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd. That is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have the power to lay it down and the power to take it up again. This command I've received from my Father. Allow any word or phrase or image that came to you during the reading or that's kind of coming to you now. Allow it to settle, notice it, observe it without judging. And take a moment in prayer to perhaps set it as your intention for practice today, or offer it up in a prayer of praise, gratitude, petition. Take a moment in quiet to do that now. And then when you're ready, as we begin to transition to some movement, I invite you to take a full body stretch on your mat. Feeling the length of your body supported by the floor from the tips of your toes, the soles of your feet, all the way above your head, extending through each arm, out the tips of your fingers. Breathing. Notice if you're gripping anywhere as you stretch, and just inviting your breath to soften and support you on the mat. And then when you're ready, take a long inhale in. And as you exhale, begin to draw your knees into your chest, perhaps wrapping your arms around. Enjoying a full exhale. And then maybe just gently rocking from side to side. Maybe even putting your hands on your knees and making a few hip circles one way, so you're drawing circles on the ceiling with your knees, and then maybe taking it in the other direction. Just bringing some gentle, mindful movement to your space and your body this morning. And finding stillness, returning to center. If you would like to, or you're using a strap, I invite you to have that handy and nearby. Extend your legs towards the sky, the soles of your feet towards the ceiling, looping the strap across the balls of your feet, and then having one side of the strap or whatever prop you're using on each side, so that you feel a little resistance. If you can press the balls of your feet in towards the sky and feel resistance and tightness in the strap. And maybe just begin to point and flex your feet, noticing the stretch in your calves, in your hamstrings, making sure you keep a slight bend to your knees as we get warmed up this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. And then when you're ready, finding stillness, switching the strap to your right hand, so carrying both sides of the strap to your right hand. Release your left leg slowly, letting it fall down to the floor, returning it to the mat, and then just noticing the stretch in your right leg. Inhale in, and then imagine your leg. This is an isometric movement, but you're just isometrically like rotating your leg, like your thigh. Imagine it rotating it outward before, so it's just like a very subtle movement. You can't really see it, but you can feel it, the external rotation, and then slowly allow your right leg to extend outward towards the right, to the right side of your mat, wherever that just right stretch feels. So maybe your foot comes all the way down to the floor, maybe it's a foot or two away from the floor, but you're holding both sides of the strap in your right hand, maybe placing your left hand on your left hip if it's trying to come over and join you on the right side of your mat. And really pressing into the strap with the ball of your foot and seeing how maybe even pointing and flexing your foot changes the stretch for you. And of course, remembering to breathe. And then when you're ready, begin to draw your leg back up towards the sky, up to center, switching the strap into your left hand, and then exhaling by crossing your left leg over, across your body, over towards the left side of your mat. If you have furniture or a wall nearby, maybe your foot lands there. And maybe you can make your wall or couch your friend and help give you an assist in the stretch. Keeping your leg that is on the mat, so your left leg, keeping it active by flexing your foot. Breathing. Noticing if you're gripping anywhere and how, as you remain in the pose and breathe through the pose, what softens or releases. Slowly, as you're ready, begin to release the stretch by unwinding, returning your right leg to the sky, back to center, bringing a bend to your knee, allowing your left foot to extend to the sky, placing both feet in the strap again before switching the straps to your left hand, lowering your right leg to the earth. So now you know where we're going, feeling supported, using the strap, inhale in, and then exhale, finding that external rotation with your thigh, your left thigh, and lowering your leg toward the left. And again, noticing if your right hip tries to come with you, simply placing your right hand on your right hip to invite it back down onto the mat. Notice if this side feels any different. Breathing, keeping your right leg active. Inhaling back to center. And then slowly passing the strap to your right hand, exhaling, crossing your left leg across your body. And again, maybe your left foot lands on the earth, maybe it doesn't. Just notice what feels like that just right stretch for you. On an inhale, begin to extend your leg back to center, placing each side of the strap into your hands, extending your right leg back up into the strap, and maybe pressing through your feet and finding a hamstring stretch. Shortening your grip on, for the length of your grip on each side in order to almost like, this is how we pose in a seated forward bend in order to stretch our hamstrings. So maybe your hands are moving closer and closer to your feet and noticing how that can change the stretch on your hamstrings. And then when you're ready, bring a bend to your knees. You could keep your feet in the strap and begin to rock and roll and use the strap to roll yourself back up to a seated position. A little playfulness and fun. So you can set the strap aside. You don't need it right now. And then when you're ready, however you want to get there, we will begin in a downward facing dog. So whether you want to come onto hands and knees first and come up to a downward facing dog, getting there, taking whatever you need, and once you're there, just checking in. So noticing how your legs feel, maybe bending one knee and straightening the other, pedaling out your dog, maybe hovering both knees towards the earth and sending your sits bones to the sky. Shaking your head out, yes and no. Just allowing the shift in perspective. On an inhale, look between your hands. Step or hop your feet forward towards your hands, coming into a forward fold. Rooting your feet into the earth, inhaling to lift halfway. Your hands are above your thighs, your spine is long, your gaze is down. The long inhale here, exhale, return to forward fold. Feet should be hip width distance apart, so forward fold is
Good time to kind of check in, maybe placing both hands in between your feet, seeing that the length of 2 fists is about hip width distance apart. Really rooting into the mat, feeling your feet anchored into the earth. Begin to bend your knees slowly to protect your back, and then inhale, rise to stand. Slowly extending your arms to the sky, looking to the sky, and exhaling your hands to heart center. Pausing here in mountain pose. Your eyes can be closed or your gaze can be down. Pausing here for a moment. I invite you to bring to mind your word for when we talked about shepherd, teacher, guide, and now bringing to mind a person that you know in your life from long ago or present day who represents that to you. So just pausing for a moment, bringing to mind that person who was there for you as a teacher, a supporter, a guide, someone who offered you unconditional love, unconditional regard to help you through a growth period or a challenge period, or just offered simple presence, consistent presence. Send that person wherever they may be. Send them loving kindness and gratitude for the role that they played in your life. And as we go through this next series of poses, I invite you to kind of dedicate your movement and your prayer to sending that person love, kindness, and gratitude. So on an inhale, I invite you to sweep your arms open to the sky. Exhale, folding all the way through heart center. Planting your hands to the earth. Stepping your left foot back. Lowering your left knee to the earth and coming into a low lunge. So option to stay on your knee or lift your knee, but we're in a low lunge here. So hands are rooted to the earth. Your knee is above your ankle, in line with your foot, so not coming out to the side or tracking inward. And then whether your knee is lifted or lowered, I invite you to bring your hands to your knee. Pausing here for a round of breath. Making any adjustments you need to the length of your lunge in order for it to be accessible to you. And then when you're ready, lifting your hands to the sky. Bowing backward for a baby back bend, lifting your heart to the sky. Pausing here. Sweeping your arms down to frame your foot with your exhale. Planting your hands to the earth. Lifting your left knee, if it's not already lifted. Stepping your right foot back to meet your left, coming into a plank, or your knees can be lowered to supported plank pose. Pausing here, breathing. Lowering to your knees, lowering to your chest, bringing yourself all the way down to the mat, lowering your forehead to the earth, connecting your forehead to the mat, pausing here for a full round of breath. With your hands near your rib cage, your elbows hugged into your sides, begin to feel rooted into the earth with your lower body, so the tops of your feet, your knees, your thighs, your core are activated but yet connected to the earth. With your in-breath, begin to lift your heart and your forehead even ever so slightly, coming into your version of cobra. Exhale, lower your forehead to the earth. Use your breath to move in and out of cobra 2 or 3 more times, just making it fluid, making it what you need it to be. After your next round of breath, exhaling your forehead back to the earth. However you need to get there, coming either through hands and knees or pressing yourself up, will meet in a downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, I invite you to look between your hands, step or hop between your hands, your feet to your hands for a forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, return to forward fold. Plant your feet, root to rise. Inhale, rise to stand. Looking to the heavens. Exhaling your hands to fold all the way through heart center, releasing your hands back to the earth, stepping your right leg back, lowering your right knee to the earth, or keeping it extended, setting up for your low lunge on the opposite side. Pausing here with that connection to the earth, breathing. Inhale, bringing your hands to your knees. Pausing here. Inhale, extend your arms to the sky, lifting, bending backward, offering your heart up to the heavens. Before exhaling to frame your front foot with your hands and coming into your version of plank, whether it's modified plank or stepping your leg back to your right. Lowering all the way down to the earth in your way, coming all the way onto your belly. Coming into the back bend of your choice. Maybe it's a full expression of cobra or upward facing dog. Or lowering back to the earth, pressing yourself back up to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Take a long inhale in through your nose and sigh it out through your mouth. Walk your hands backward of one handprint, so like you're shortening your downward facing dog, so your hands are coming closer to the middle of your mat. And then slowly walk your hands forward, or walk your feet forward to meet your hands, so you're coming into the middle of the mat. And then slowly inhale, rising to stand. Bringing your hands together above your head, lowering your hands to heart center. Bringing to mind that person one more time, sending some gratitude and loving kindness their way. And then when you're ready, we'll just turn using the
length of your mat by facing the long edge of your mat rather than the short edge. So on an inhale, I invite you to extend your arms to the sky, clasping your left wrist with your right hand, and just slowly stretching to the right. So crescent stretch to the right. On an inhale, come back to center and pause. Release your hands facing, so your palms are facing forward. And then exhale to step your left foot to the side, coming into a goddess pose. So coming into stepping to a wide leg, your hands come down to cactus arms, and pivot your right foot, left foot to a 45-degree angle, pausing here. Breathing, drawing your knees back again, like isometrically, like you have a cord somewhere behind you attached to the outside of your knees, and they're drawing it backward. So rather than collapsing inward, you're isometrically feeling a stretch across your inner thighs. On an inhale, extend your arms back, straightening your legs, pivoting your feet back forward, parallel to one another, and exhaling your hands to a 5-point star. So pausing here to breathe. When you're ready, pivot your right foot so that it's facing the short edge of your mat. Reach forward with your right arm like you're reaching towards that same short edge of your mat, and then exhale, lowering into a triangle pose. So this is where your blocks may come in handy, or a book, if you might want to place it in front of you if your arms don't come all the way down to your calf or your ankle or the earth. Breathing here. On an inhale, return your arms back to your sides, standing tall. And this time, pivoting your left foot forward to meet your right. Turning your chest with you so that your chest faces your right foot. So still keeping a slight bend to your front knee, but we're not like coming into a lunge. So keeping your right foot straight, adjusting your legs so they're more on railroad tracks rather than like a tightrope, and squaring your hips. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold, coming forward to a pyramid pose. So your hands will frame your front foot. Breathing. This is again where if you have blocks, you may like to use the height to help you access the stretch that you need here in pyramid pose. On an inhale, raise your chest like you're coming into a halfway lift. And then exhale, fold again, this time taking your left knee with you, coming back into a low lunge. So again, option to keep your left leg raised if you'd like. So your hands right now are framing your front foot.
And you're breathing, noticing if anything has changed or evolved since we've come into our first low lunge. And then when you're ready, bring your right hand on the inside of your right foot and begin to walk your hands forward to the long edge of your mat. And now we're going to begin to pivot our feet. So we are pivoting our right foot forward to meet our hands. So our seat might need to be lifted for this. And then lowering your seat, settling into the bend of your right knee. As your left leg is long, you pop your left foot up. So you should feel a long stretch down the inside of your left leg. So you can see I'm on the ball of my right foot. Your right foot can be planted. Whatever you need here. Take what you need. Notice what you need. A deep stretch. Inhale to come back to, inhale, straightening your right leg, coming into a wide leg forward fold. And then now we're going to begin to do that all in reverse on the opposite side. So inhale, long. As you exhale, bring a deep bend to your left knee. Begin to lower your seat, walking your hands towards your left side, popping your right leg, your right toes up, coming into that same stretch on the right side. Breathing, noticing what you notice, noticing what's different on this side. And then when you're ready, we're going to begin to change all the direction of our feet and our chest. So right now our chest is drawing forward to the long edge of our mat, and we're going to begin to come into that low lunge on the other side. So the best way to do this is to kind of simultaneously turn everything. So pivoting your front foot or your left foot towards the short edge of your mat, pivoting your back foot to be parallel and facing the same direction as your front foot, lowering your right knee if needed, and drawing your chest forward, framing your front foot with your two hands, coming into a low lunge. So given that it's a full moon weekend, we are doing moon salutations. Often we're doing sun salutations for flow and energy and liveliness. Moon salutations are designed to be more inward, more reflective, some deep stretching. When we think of shepherds and guides, they're often our light in the darkness or during the stormy or uncertain periods of our life. So if your knee is planted on the earth, I invite you to lift your right knee and maybe shorten your stance. So by inching your right foot forward, bringing your hands first to your left knee, and then inhale your hands to the sky, straightening your front leg, and then making any adjustments you need. So we're coming to pyramid pose. So if you found that your legs, again, are more on that tightrope or your stance is really wide, I invite you to just kind of widen your stance as needed, squaring your hips towards the short edge of your mat towards your front foot, straightening your front leg, and then taking a long inhale in, looking to the sky, and then exhaling, coming back down into pyramid pose. Breathing, keeping your left hip spiraling outwards, so that's that external rotation again towards the left side of your mat, while your right leg is more of that internal rotation. So you're imagining your right leg, your right thigh is drawing in, and we're keeping our core engaged. And then inhale, begin to extend your arms slowly to the sky. And then again, we're going to do a series of rotations and pivots here. So the easiest way to do this is first to sweep your right arm across your body. So turning your torso so your heart comes facing your long edge of your mat, and then you pivot your right foot back down so that your feet are intersecting rather than parallel to each other. So your left toes are facing the left side of your mat, your right toes are facing the long edge of your mat in front of you. Then exhale to reach towards the left side of your mat, lowering your left arm, coming back into a triangle pose on the opposite side. Breathing, noticing if you tended to collapse into your left hand, and engaging your core, keeping that, even just your left fingertips against your leg to keep you honest. Inhale, back to center, coming back into that 5-point star by pivoting your left foot forward. You know, kind of, maybe you remember where we're going. So from here in our 5-point star, rotate or pivot your feet to 45-degree angles so your toes become pointing outward. Inhale your arms to the sky. Exhale, lower to goddess arm or goddess pose. So again, drawing our thighs outward. Our arms are to cactus arms. Pausing here, breathing. So multi-step, reverse directions. You definitely need a guide or a friend to help walk you through and follow when times get complicated. And sometimes you need patience with your guide because the teacher or the shepherd or the guide doesn't always remember the steps perfectly either. So as I always say, it's yoga practice, not yoga perfect. So inhale to straighten your legs, extending your arms back to the sky. Pivot your feet back to parallel. And then on an inhale, we're going to draw our energy together by inhaling and drawing our left leg to meet our right, coming back into a standing mountain pose. Clasp your right wrist with your left hand. And then now we finish the full cycle by crescent stretch towards the left. Breathe. Opening your heart, softening your shoulders onto your back body.
Inhaling, coming back to center, releasing the clasp, extending your palms to the sky, maybe looking up to your fingertips before joining your hands back together. Exhaling, folding all the way through heart center. Planting your hands to the earth. And then options for forward fold here. So one option for a nice shoulder opener, just pivoting your feet, heel toeing them slightly wider than a hip width distance apart, so not all the way for a wide leg forward fold. And then option to take your hands and lift your foot, place the back of your hand on the mat, stepping your foot onto the palm of your hand like you're able to give it just like a nice massage. So option to do that on either side, keeping a bend to your knees and noticing how you can use your feet to almost deepen the stretch across your shoulders. So this is one option for your forward fold. Always an option to ragdoll your hands, taking opposite hands to opposite elbows. But my husband made a request for gorilla pose the other day, and he always is practicing in the background, and I promised him I would somehow incorporate gorilla into the class today. So sometimes we just get little surprises and have to embrace them with a sense of humor. So whatever bind you are in, take one more round of breath and begin to come out of your bind, coming back to a traditional forward fold. From wherever you are, inhale to lift halfway, exhale, returning to forward fold, and then turning to again use the length of your mat. Let's, wherever you are, begin to bend your knees towards the earth and coming into a child's pose. Coming onto hands and knees, bringing your toes together, your knees wide, lowering your chest to the earth, sinking back into child's pose. Just checking in, noticing your breath, noticing what has shifted for you in practice, and maybe bringing to mind your word or phrase from our reading, and just holding some space for that for a moment, and allowing whatever comes up to come up. When you're ready, begin to return to hands and knees. Coming back up. Additional hands and knee pose. On an inhale, root into your left hand and extend your right arm to the sky before threading the needle by drawing your right arm underneath your left, lowering your right shoulder and your right temple to the earth. Maybe even walking, extending your fingertips of your left arm so that's straight out in front of you, or even your left leg out behind you. Feeling the connection to the earth, enjoying whichever version of the stretch you are in, letting your breath fill you. If you're in any kind of bind, begin to walk, return your left arm to your side, return your left knee to meet your right. Use the strength of your left hand to press your shoulder back, your right shoulder back up off the earth.
Extend your right arm to the sky one more time before returning it back to tabletop pose. And then when you're ready, just begin to set up for that on the opposite side. So planting your right hand to the earth, extending your left arm to the sky, and exhaling, threading the needle on the opposite side. And again, same options for extension here. Breathing. If you're in any kind of bind, return your right hand to be in alignment with your left shoulder. Return your right knee to meet your left, and begin to use your right hand to press yourself, lifting your left shoulder, returning your left arm to the sky, and then returning, coming back to hands and knees. And then however you would like to get there, I invite you to come all the way back onto your back where we were when we began practice. Coming all the way onto your back, I invite you to draw your knees back into your chest, maybe gently rocking from side to side or back and forth. And releasing your feet to the earth, extending one leg at a time, letting it come down long, and maybe taking one more long full body stretch. Before returning your arms to either your sides, or maybe one hand is on your heart, one hand is on your belly. Settling into our final resting pose. I'll read our passage one final time before inviting you to spend a few more moments in silent prayer. Jesus said, "I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired man who is not a shepherd and whose sheep are not his own sees a wolf coming, leaves the sheep, and runs away. And the wolf catches and scatters them. This is because he works for pay and has no concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I will lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. These also I must lead, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd. This is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have the power to lay it down and the power to take it up again. This command I've received from the Father." Spend a few moments in silent prayer.
If you'd like to extend your Shavasana, feel free to pause the video here. Allow your awareness to return to your breath. Begin making small movements as you savor a few more moments feeling completely supported on your mat, on the earth. Maybe hugging your knees into your chest one more time, or taking a slow, full body stretch. When you're ready, I invite you to roll onto one side or the other if that's calling to you. Imagining feeling supported by God's loving embrace for a few more moments of this prayerful practice. And then when you're ready, using the strength of your arms and legs to draw yourself back up to a seated pose on the mat, bringing your hands to heart center. Your eyes can be closed or your gaze can be down. We draw our hands to our forehead. May God's word be on your minds. We lower our hands to our lips. May God's word be on our lips. And we return our hands to heart center. May God's word be in our hearts. Thank you for your prayer and your practice today as we send love and gratitude out to our shepherds, teachers, guides. We bow to our God and one another as we say namaste.